the royal
We do nothing
public.
wrong. I mean, we're just perfectly reacting to it. Everyone else is wrong.
Obviously. That's the point of this podcast, is that we are right and people should listen to us. There's your clip, business boys. There's your show promo clip.
All right, here we go.
Yay.
Hello and welcome to HR Confessions. I'm Rebecca Taylor.
And I'm Kim Rohrer. We are bringing you unfiltered perspectives from the world of HR. Real stories, no bullshit.
And today we're bringing you a story about a layoff gone wrong. So before we dive into the story today, Kim, you come from HR. I come from HR. What does a layoff gone wrong? What things does this bring to mind to you?
So many things, Rebecca. So many things. I have been a part of many layoffs, both as the person being laid off and as the person running the layoff, sometimes both at the same time. They can go so poorly, and they're such an opportunity to do good in this world in a terrible, challenging time. I'm thinking about like legal things, logistics things, culture things. Like they're so complicated, and there's so much to consider.
Yeah. And I think what's going to be interesting is as we dive into this story, this is sort of everything that can go wrong kind of does. So I'm excited to take everybody on this journey and on this ride.
Great.
And there's going to be sort of space where we'll break it down afterwards too, because there's so much that we can sort of talk about that's like, what could we have done differently? How could this have happened? So I'm excited to go in. So
I'm
you
excited
ready?
and scared. Yes. Lay it on
Okay.
me.
So our story takes place at an undisclosed company with an office located in the southeastern U.S. So just sort of that general area. Think strip mall offices, parking lots, things like that. The time period's unknown.
What are those?
I know, right? I used to work in the cities, like in New York, so that concept never really meant much to me. But I'm like, okay, this is sort of where we're going to
I
lead
can
this.
imagine an office park. Yes, got it.
Yeah. So time period's unknown, but not really important. Generally speaking, it was basically a time when industry was booming and people were working in offices every day. So on-site kind of stuff. So our HR hero, we're going to call her Madison. She was a recruiter at this company. Most of her days involved some form of interviewing candidates, moving them around to different interview rooms, wrangling hiring managers, and chasing them for feedback. Like, you know the drill. Sort
Yes,
of that
I
very
absolutely
high
do.
volume sort of speed. Yeah. So one day, Madison gets into the office and she starts going through her inbox before her first interview of the day, just getting herself ready for the day.
Sure.
So suddenly, the CEO pops his head out of his office and he goes, I need to talk to you.
Oh, no.
And he instantly ducks back into his office.
I already hate this.
Right. Immediate right? Like,
Okay.
like when has that ever been just a cool,
Never.
normal conversation?
Never has that been a cool, normal conversation. Okay.
Yeah. So the
Great.
CEO, we'll call him Mike. He's like, sit down, please, gesturing to the chair in front of his desk. So Madison, at this point, Madison, of course, assumes that she's fired. CEO on one side, she's on the other side. She's like, I'm definitely fired. All of a sudden, the door behind Madison opens. So normally this would be like the HR person coming in to oversee the term, right? So you're sitting down with your boss, HR comes in,
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is that this company doesn't have HR.
Of course.
All they have is Madison, and she's not even HR.
Madison.
She's a recruiter, and she's happy being a recruiter.
Got it.
So Madison turns around and sees that it's Mike's wife, Tammy.
Why?
So
Why is Tammy
Madison's
there?
Right, it's like Mike's wife just comes walking in.
Oh, no.
And now, a quick word from our sponsor, SkillCycle. SkillCycle is a talent development system that connects performance management to one-to-one coaching and development. The SkillCycle platform aligns individual growth with business objectives through continuous feedback, AI-powered development paths, and leadership training. As a SkillCycle co-founder, I'd love to talk to you out there in our audience, progressive people leaders who really get it. Let's chat over coffee on us to give us some feedback on the episode and about the challenges you're facing today. You might just contribute to a topic on our next episode. Email us today at hrconfessions@skillcycle.com. That's hrconfessions@skillcycle.com. So Madison is now just sitting there with Mike and Tammy, like absolutely clueless. So finally Mike starts talking. He goes, Madison, we need to let some people go. Ugh, right? Like she knew it.
Okay.
She goes, this was it. Time to dust off the old resume. Like this is the conversation. And now Mike and Tammy are basically letting me go.
Wait, does
So
Tammy
she
work
goes-
there too?
Tammy works there too. This is a husband and wife company.
Ooh, we're a family
Yes.
business. I
This
see.
is a family business. Yep.
Okay. Love it.
And
Great.
so they're now basically in charge.
Oh, God. This cannot end well. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So he goes, we have to let some people go. And she says, okay, I understand. Thanks for the opportunity to work with you. I'll get my things and go. Like, she's not trying to put up too much of a fight. She's just like, whatever. I just want to get out of here.
Yeah.
And Mike goes, oh, no. Oh, no. You're not getting let go. I need you to let the people go.
What? But she's a recruiter.
Confused, right? Right. So Madison is also, of course, confused because, as you mentioned, she's a recruiter and she has no experience in this department. Like, she's always been a recruiter. She likes it that way. She's not
and also,
HR.
if they're doing layoffs, I would expect as a recruiter that I would probably be getting laid off. So now she's going to be asked to be HR, isn't she?
She's going to be asked to be HR, as so often happens. It's just, well, you're basically
it's
HR.
The same. Yeah,
Mike it's the same. So this way you can do this.
Yep.
And so she goes like, Mike, that's not really appropriate.
Not my. I'm not trained for this.
Right. It's not really appropriate for me to do. I'm not in HR and I'm not in leadership. So it should really come from you. Like, you're the CEO. You're the one who made this decision. This should really come from you. So, of course, in a classic, deflection fashion, Mike goes, you'll be fine. It's just business. Right now, the business says we have to cut people in half. It's not like anyone's going to take it personally.
The business says, Mike and Tammy says.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
And it's just business.
Great.
No one's going to take it personally because no one takes business personally ever.
No, never. Okay.
So our lovely Madison, ever the problem solver, because she's a go-getter, she's a problem solver. She's like, okay, I can reach out to some people in my network and I can collect some resources and I'll see if I can get a good plan together all from that. Like, I'll just kind of go about my way. I'll figure this out.
Reasonable.
Mike goes, oh, no. There's no time for that. We're doing this today.
Okay. Sure we are.
Imagine the day she's expecting. She's like, I have all these candidates to interview. I'm doing all these things. I barely had my coffee.
She has candidates coming into the office. Oh, Madison, I'm so sorry for you.
I barely had my coffee. Now, all of a sudden, I'm going into this whole layoff thing with no preparation, no plan, no support.
Okay.
So
that's a thing.
What we do know about this company is that it wasn't particularly big. So we know that something like the WARN Act wouldn't apply, but when you're thinking about, okay, we now have to cut the company in half with literally no notice from an HR perspective, what are some things that you would consider or some things that you would kind of, with your experience, be a little bit worried about for Madison?
I mean, I'm assuming that Madison is not being asked to make the decision on who has to get laid off. So I'm assuming she's getting a list of people, right? So I would look at that list and do a quick scan for any obvious demographic inequities. I'd look at are we disproportionately impacting people of color? Are we disproportionately impacting women? Are we disproportionately impacting any other protected classes? Are we disproportionately impacting caregivers? Look at those baselines. I would look at, do we have anyone over 40 who might be subject to different types of paperwork and I forget the legal term for it, but where you're allowed to take it back when you sign your paperwork when you get laid off. I forget the legal term for it. I'm not a lawyer. I would obviously also be considering things like the paperwork. This is complicated stuff, and assuming that people will not be handed their severance payments, their severance package information, all this stuff, like their healthcare continuation, their final paycheck processing, all of this logistic stuff. God, it's triggering my cough. I'm so worked up. There's so much to consider.
Yeah. And the one thing that I would say is Madison doesn't know what she doesn't know. So where she's kind of just okay, I know how to hire people, but I don't really know how to fire people.
Hire them in reverse.
Right. So she knows that there has to be paperwork. Right. So she figures there has to be paperwork. Paperwork has to talk about what happens next in some way, but she's unclear of what that is or who's supposed to be putting that together. And the one thing that does work,
big office. I'm guessing she doesn't have a private space to be printing out all of these severance letters and things, right?
Right. Full open office space, and it's not a big company, so everyone's kind of up in each other's business anyway.
Yep.
And there's also the one blessing for Madison is that they're all in the same state. So, sometimes when you're doing these terms in different states, there's all that, but they're all in the same state. They're all physically there. Blessing and curse.
Theoretically, they will all have the same severance terms.
Yeah.
Except for people who are over 40 or perhaps who are executives or
Yep.
I mean, have Mike and Tammy even figured out what kind of severance they're going to offer people? Is there continuation of benefits? Is there any job placement? I'm guessing no on all of this. I'm guessing they're like, we'll give you 2 weeks pay and you're out of here.
Yeah. None of that stuff was mentioned. So I doubt that it was that well thought out. I mean, this is again, a family business.
I'm not surprised.
Husband and wife running it. Yeah.
It's very much like, I'm not surprised, but I am disappointed.
Yes. Yeah. Very typical.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So Madison,
great.
Yeah. So like you mentioned, Madison's not part of picking who's coming and who's going. So she just gets the list from Mike, and she starts walking Mike through how she thinks this should go down. So she's, taking her best. She's like, okay, when I hire people, I interview them. So if I'm laying people off, then I have layoff conversations. So she's expecting to have a lot of one-on-one conversations because that's what you do, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Well, you thought wrong, because this is officially a mass layoff situation.
Okay. So we're just gonna gather people into a room and be like, if you're in this room, that means you have no job.
Yeah, it basically makes me think of all those, TV dramas where they were casting kids in the play, and it's like, if you're in this room, you're in the play, and if you're not in that room, you're not in the play.
You mean my childhood?
Yeah, the play of life.
You mean my entire upbringing in the theater?
Yes, exactly.
It's very chorus line. Like, they call your number, step up into this line. All right, all of you, you're out of here.
Yep. Yeah. And so this is kind of where
corporate environment totally applies.
So then you first start thinking, like, how do you coordinate this, right? So Madison's like, oh, crud. Like, how am I supposed to do this? Everyone is on site in the office. So you physically have to separate the people who are staying from the people who are going without giving anything
go to
away.
The cafeteria.
Right. So you can't be suspicious about it either.
No.
So Mike, our genius Mike, our lovely CEO, has this brilliant idea.
What does he have in mind?
He decides that he and Tammy are going to take all the people who aren't getting let go to a second location to get lunch. And Madison will stay behind with the rest of the people to do the term. He's like, we'll just take them out to lunch and then we'll leave everybody behind with you and you can fire them.
Not suspicious at all.
Right.
Totally
How are you feeling
normal.
about this?
How
are you feeling about Madison
this?
getting ditched?
I feel awful about this on so many levels. I feel awful about it from an optics perspective. I feel awful about it from a just pure logistical nightmare perspective. Like the process of notifying people that they're going to a second location, not telling them why. And I feel really awful for Madison, who's going to be left there to pick up all the pieces by herself. I have been in that situation before. The very first layoff I ever ran, we were all there to deliver the news, and then the entire executive team except me left and went back to San Francisco, and I stayed in New York to continue processing all of the exits, and it was awful, and I will never do that again.
Yeah. It has a very much like, I'm just going to throw this.
Like, we didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So
exactly. Well, this is Madison.
They don't know.
Too.
Yeah. They don't know any better. Yeah. Neither do Mike and Tammy, I assume. So terrible idea, but how would they know that?
Right. And it's classic avoider behavior, which is common in sort of family-owned companies. We love to avoid. And it very much feels like throwing it over the fence, just like, okay, you're dealing with this now. This is your problem.
Good luck, Madison.
I don't know. In HR, that was kind of my experience most of it.
Thank you, Madison, for being so great and handling this so that I can go out to lunch.
Thank you for being the champ. So,
okay. All right. I'm
so
ready.
Mike and Tammy. Mike and Tammy make the rounds and they tap the shoulders of who gets to stay. So they're just like walking around the office.
Like
they're whispering. Basically, yeah. So they're whispering in their ear and they're like moving on to the next one. And then they slide out the door together. And I can't confirm that it didn't happen this way, but then they like dash to their car and speed away like they just robbed a bank. Like they're like, do, 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 do.
I also am imagining here that they were like, tap, tap, tap. Follow me to the parking lot, but wait a couple minutes so it's not suspicious. Like two people who don't want people to know they were like making out in the bathroom at a party. They're like,
right.
You leave before
me.
Be
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just be cool. Just leave. It's fine.
I feel like this is a safe assumption to be making that this is how they handled it.
Yeah. So Madison just watches them leave. She's just like standing there. She watches them leave through the window, like
in terror.
So soon after, she starts to see people creep out. It's like a few at a time. So they start to trickle away. Her heart is pounding. She's sweating. She's feverishly printing a one sheet about COBRA benefits and hovering by the printer so no one accidentally sees it. Like she's just like,
she's like, I've heard about this before. This is something I should probably do.
Yes, she's like so Googling. Many resumes. She's like, I just have so many resumes to print today. That's all I'm doing over here.
I have also been in that position before where you have to stand by the printer and guard your things as they're printing. And like, it prints and you stick it in a folder. You print, you stick it in a folder, and you're like, nothing to see here, folks. I'm just printing a bunch of stuff that you can't know about. Don't mind
It's a book
me.
report. Yeah. Nothing important here.
This is a really long slide deck I need printed copies of.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so she's going into this
thing.
not chill at all, right? Because she's stressed
Yeah.
about the
No,
resume. She's stressed
she's
about the
shaking.
process. There's so much ambiguity. She's now left. So she's in kind of her like frontal lobe stress, fight or flight zone.
Yeah.
And she kind of has to play it really chill and pull this off because, you know, layoffs can
else
be
is she gonna
really,
do?
really touchy. Yeah. So there's a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, as you know. So she finally sees the last person leave, and this is her moment. So she walks to the front of the office. She takes a deep breath, and she does it like it's an announcement, like it's a morning announcement.
Yeah.
She goes, "Attention, everyone. I have some unfortunate news," which great way to kick off, right? Now everyone's just super calm. The company had to make the necessary decision to terminate the employment of everyone in this room. Please pack your belongings and leave. I have exit
now.
information printed here, and you'll all receive a follow-up email with more specifics within the next 24 hours.
Oh, I mean, can she guarantee that? I don't know, but
I know. Well, this is definitely her just being like, I don't know. That's the next problem I'm going to have to deal with. I just hope that I can get you
future
something.
Madison's problem.
Exactly. She's like, I just need to get you out of this office. That's the
my
only thing that I
God.
have to do.
Oh, it's
So
awful.
everyone's just
Okay.
staring at her, and someone just goes, "What?" And since she has no idea what else to say, she just repeats that. Everyone has to pack their stuff and leave immediately.
This
She's
is
like,
the
"Just get
script
out."
that I wrote for myself. This is all I have to offer. Please
She's
leave.
like, "I practiced it," and she's emphasizing the whole like "you have to leave" part because that's the
course.
only thing that she knows for sure is like you have to
Right.
get out of here.
Right.
Because I'm sure there's like, you know, there's probably concern around them saving any client information or
Sure.
retaliating. You know how it kind of goes when you're laying people
Right.
off or when you're letting anybody go. It's like you have to protect the company's assets. So she's just like, everybody get out of here. And
And I'm sure Mike and Tammy are not going to come back until everyone's gone. Like, there's
Right.
no way they're going to
Right.
come back before everyone's gone. Yeah, got it.
they left for a reason. They did not want to deal with this. This is classic Madison, you clean up our mess type thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
So all of a sudden she hears, "Where's Mike?" Meaning like, we don't think that you have the authority to do this.
Right, right. Because why would she? She's a recruiter.
Right. And, you know, who knows how
from the
like,
executive team is there? I'm guessing
Right,
they're all
and-
at lunch.
and to be fair, we don't know how long she was at the company before this all happened. So she could have
Right.
been there a month. She could have been there for 10 years. We're not really sure. But either way, she was sort of
she's not
in
an
this
executive.
island. Right.
She's not Mike or
And she was the
Tammy.
recruiter. So she wasn't doing anything other than hiring any of these people. So it's not like she has
Right.
all of these relationships necessarily. So people are asking for Mike. She goes, "He's off the premises at the moment." "Well, when will he be back?" So she goes, "Mike and the others will return once the office is clear." So again, emphasizing like everybody get out. "He thanks you all for the work you've done and regrets to see you go."
I bet she made that part up just to like make Mike seem nicer.
Yes.
Seems
But
like
does that
something
make him
Madison
seem
would do.
nicer? Does that make him seem
Well,
nicer though?
I
Making
think
it about his feelings?
If I put myself in Madison's shoes, and she's like, I have to deliver this news. I want it to land softly. I'm gonna tell people that Mike is sorry because like that will help. Like you and I know after decades
Yeah.
of doing this that like that doesn't
Yeah.
really help. But if I'm like Madison and I'm new to this and it's my first time ever doing it, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to say something like, he really regrets this, and he asked me to tell you how sorry he is, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Like she's thinking she's
you
saying
feel
the
like
right
you're doing
things.
something good, right, for the company.
Right. Yeah.
But it
and
doesn't
so
matter.
understandably, people are shocked, some mad, some crying. It's a total mixed bag of emotions in this office. And eventually everyone trickles out. So everyone eventually leaves. The office is
Wow.
empty.
Lucky her.
And Madison
Yep.
is alone.
Oh, blessed silence.
Well, she walks to the door to make sure everyone's
That was a
gone.
very heavy well.
She's like checking to see if everyone's gone, and she sees one person hanging back in the parking lot. His name is
Her
Steve.
favorite, kind, nice, wonderful, supportive person.
Just a casual lingerer named Steve.
Oh, okay. I don't have a
So
good
she-
feeling about Steve.
Well, Madison, our lovely Madison, what does she do? She goes outside to see what's up because she wants to help.
course.
She wants to be there. She wants to support.
Yep. Make sure
So
Steve's okay.
I've had lingerers after terminations before, and they never linger because they want to tell me how much they love me. They usually
No.
linger because they want to make some sort of a threat or
Yes. They're
express
upset.
some sort of grievance. There's,
They're
you know, it's
angry.
usually contentious.
Yes.
And I would say that this is the same thing that happens to our poor friend Madison.
Well, she's learning some lessons today.
Nothing like a life lesson, right? And like the situation's not great. So Steve's mad, like really mad. And he's not going anywhere until he talks to Mike. Yeah. He's been there the longest and he thinks he should have been saved. And he wants to tell Mike how he feels about that. You know, the classic, I've been here forever. Mike didn't have the guts to fire me to my face. I think other people should have gone. I want to talk to him about that, which also understandable, right?
Totally fair.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, you know, it's kind of like if you've built so much loyalty at the company, especially at a family company. I'm not sure if Steve was family or friends or somehow related, but we know that he's been there for a long time. So, you know, when you work here, you're family, one of those kind of things. It's at minimum that.
When you work here, you're family if your name is Tammy and Mike.
So, she's now alone in the parking lot with a very angry, recently laid off employee. She has no training, no plan, no security. Like, there's no one else there. So, Steve starts to pace. He starts to punch cars. He's like, I'm just so mad. And she just feels everything escalating quickly. And from what we've understood, Madison is petite and Steve is not. So there's a very big size difference in the two of them. So this is
I'm
like
legitimately worried about her safety.
I know. My heart's racing.
At least I know that
happens.
if Madison is the one who submitted the story to us, at least I know that she survived the situation.
Yeah, she's made it.
All that is getting me through this right now. Okay.
Right.
Please continue.
So she might not have an HR background, but Madison is a recruiter. And what are recruiters really good at?
Negotiating.
Like no one can negotiate like a recruiter.
Hostage crisis negotiator.
Exactly. Never split the difference. It's literally a negotiation book based on hostage negotiation. And so she goes, eventually she's like, Steve, let me call Mike for you. I left my phone in the office, so let me just go back and ask him to come back here so you can have a conversation with him. Trying to give him what he wants while also allowing herself removal from the immediate situation. So he goes, yeah, tell Mike I'll be here waiting for him, and I'm not going anywhere until he hears what I have to say. So she got her yes. She's like, absolutely.
Great.
I will tell Mike that. I'll be right back. Yep. I'll be right back. Power walks back in. She's like, okay, this is fine. So she gets back in the office, locks the door, and then obviously calls the cops.
Yeah.
Does not call Mike.
No.
She waits away from the windows because you never know what can happen. And after a few minutes, she hears sirens. So she's just like, I'm just trying to keep myself removed from this. I just want to stay away from the windows. If Steve hears the sirens coming, I don't know how he's going to react to that. So I just need to basically hunker down.
In the parking lot. Like he was already, he was hitting cars and making threatening statements. And she was afraid. I mean, I don't always advocate calling the cops as the first move. I often don't, given racism. Yeah. But I'm guessing in this scenario they are both white, and we are in a place where she didn't have any other security options. So and she had no backup, no training, no nothing. Yeah, she was alone
scared.
With a large man who was threatening. So
legit. And Mike made it clear that he wasn't going to help, so he wouldn't exactly be the person who I would call.
No, I would not call Mike and be like, "Hey, Mike, come save me from Steve, please."
Right?
He'd be like, "You can handle it."
Yeah,
I'm gonna stay and get some more margaritas. Yeah. All right.
So as the police are pulling in, she gets a text. It's a text from Mike.
Of course,
and it just goes, "How'd it go? We're ready to come back."
As in, like, you?
As if they're getting impatient. Like they're like, "Oh man, we've just been sitting here having all this lunch while you've been denying our access to the office for all this time." So Madison's got adrenaline. She's like, this guy threatened me. This is not how I expected my day to go this morning when I was listening to Headspace on my drive to work. Like, this is not what I expected.
I had to cancel all of these interviews that were people who were going to come into the office.
Yeah. So in a day where she really didn't have much control over anything that happened, she takes this moment to take back some control over the situation.
Good for her.
And she says to Mike, come on back.
Good job, baby.
She's like, you can come and deal with this now. This is now something that you can witness.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think this lunch place was very far away from what I understand, because Mike comes back pretty quickly. Yeah, either walkable or 5-minute drive, like pretty close. So Mike, Tammy, and the others, the whole office returns just as Madison is giving her statement to the police. So they come back and they just see
the scene.
Yep. And like Steve's under arrest and like handcuffed in the back of the police car. Even scarier, since Steve was acting violent and making threats, the police investigated his car because they had probable cause to check out what's going on.
Yep.
And so they then found various items in the back that could have easily been used as weapons if he'd gotten to them.
Cool.
So, yes. So thank goodness for Madison's instincts of being like, I have to get the heck out of here because who knows what could have happened. And imagine if she did call Mike back and then this guy
if she had
went to his
stayed
car.
outside and was there, and she didn't call the cops. If she had called the cops but like stayed outside and she was there when like with Steve when the cops arrived, like there's a lot that could have gone wrong here in a very scary way.
Yeah. And so this was the story of how Madison's horrible layoff happened. And so we're getting basically to the end of what we know about the story and the situation. And so I think my favorite thing that happened is something that happens in HR a lot. Again, Madison kind of trying to reclaim some of the control and some of her power. She finishes giving her statement to the police and she turns to Mike and she goes, I told you this was going to be a disaster. Just like her moment of just like, I told you this was going to go wrong.
Good job, Madison.
Yeah.
Way to stick up for yourself.
And in my version of the story, which is, again, I get to put sort of, my own sort of spin on the end of this if I want. In my version of the story, she's then like, I quit. And I'm leaving and I'm never doing this again. Yep. But
big
unfortunately.
Mistake. Huge. She Julia Roberts is her way out of it.
Exactly. And like, unfortunately in HR, we don't get to do that. Like we put up with so many messed up things all the time that we kind of just then have to somehow go home, shower it off, and then come back the next day and
Rebecca,
do it all over again or start new.
If you could quit your job every time you had to clean up someone else's messed up shit in HR, you would never have a job. You would just be quitting jobs every day.
Yep. Yeah. And I think it's kind of what's so funny about some of the, some of these stories is that, you wanted to have this really nice ending that's sort of tied up in a bow where your hero gets vindicated, but that's just not life. And it's especially not HR. And
especially, I mean, this seems like this was happening in a better economic time than we're in right now. But
yes,
most people don't have the luxury and the privilege of just quitting their job on a whim, right? So most likely, I mean, I'm guessing she's not still at that company now, however many years later. But
assuming not, yeah.
Most likely, she was like, I told you so, and then had to get back to work and reschedule those interviews and like clean up a bunch of messes and deal with everyone's separation paperwork and payroll and benefits and like all the stuff that was not her job that she had to do and had to take on. Now she's going to be doing all of that for the next several weeks.
Yep.
While also doing her job and also looking for a new job.
Yeah.
It's a
and I actually do have
all around.
I do have a little bit of an update about Madison, about sort of where she is now generally. So personally, I think she was really brave for stepping up and saying like, you know what, I'm going to tackle this, because there's a version of this where she could have been like, no, I'm not going to. And this isn't right. Right. And so I think she was really brave for stepping up and trying to kind of make the most of this and try to be there for at least just to try to do not her job, but to do a version of what she was asked to do. What we do know is that I imagine she's left the company. But what we do know is that she's actually in an HR role now. So this was sort of the thing that got her kind of thinking about, okay, what do I do beyond recruiting?
Origin stories.
Yes. This was sort of what, encouraged her. Because before that, she was just like, I like being a recruiter. I'm good being a recruiter. I'm good at it, whatever.
Yeah.
And, when the world of HR sort of crept into her purview anyway, she's like, well, I might as well learn this, because then, maybe I can do these better next time, or I can be better equipped.
I love that.
And I think that's like a really cool. Yeah. And so she's probably still putting up with a lot of other, BS all the time, but at least she's more equipped and she's more experienced.
And she was inspired to make a change in the world. I love that.
Exactly. Yeah. And she knows more people.
Good job, Madison.
So what I like to do after these is reflecting. Now that we kind of know like how the whole story went going into it, I want to kind of break it down a little bit. And I want to ask you, what do you wish you could have told Madison before this whole thing went down? Like, if you're in that moment where Madison hears from Mike, we're laying everybody off right now. If you could pause that and insert yourself and whisper something in her ear, what would you try to tell her?
That's a great question.
I'm putting you on the spot.
You are. I would tell her that there is no situation, there's no world in which this situation ends the way she wants it to. Sorry, anyone watching this on video, my AirPod just like fell straight out of my ear. I would tell her that she can try her best, but she is being set up to fail. And there's a lot she can do to try to make this easier for people, but to like let herself off the hook a little bit. I think in these situations, when a crappy situation is dumped on your lap in HR and you have to execute something you don't want to execute and clean up the mess, it's really easy to blame yourself for not being able to make it right or make it good. Yeah. And in some situations, you just have to try to minimize the damage. And making this a good experience should not be the goal. And I would tell her that from the beginning to like, hopefully let her take some of the pressure off herself.
I think that's really good. Like, making this a good experience shouldn't be the goal, because it's not going to be, there's no way this is going to be a good experience. And so much of it is out of her control. There's nothing she can do to make it good or to fix it. Like, she can't fix it. Yeah. So, yeah. And there's no way that anyone's going to be getting laid off and say, wow, Madison, thank you so much. I really liked this experience and I really liked you. Yeah. There's no way. And I've been laid off before, and I keep in touch with bosses who've laid me off, and we have a great relationship now. But in that moment, I was like, you know,
especially
you're mad,
in the
you're
moment
upset.
where she knows it's not an ideal situation. She seems like someone who's a fixer. So I would from the get-go advise her, like, yeah, this is going to suck. You're not going to be able to fix the things that you want to fix. Just do your best. Yeah. And how often, you know, you've been in HR for a long time. I was in HR for a long time. How often do you see stuff like this happen, where HR is just kind of thrown into things last minute, not of their control, where they're not really qualified to do the thing, but they're still stuck with it anyway? I mean, that describes like the first 5 years of my HR career. Just everything I ended up doing was something I hadn't done before. And I feel like that happens with HR a lot, especially in the last 4 years. People really saw this, is why we saw so much HR burnout and why we saw so much exodus from the HR profession in the last 4 or 5 years, is exactly that. It's the people being asked to do things that they are extremely unprepared for, like pandemic crisis response, like health and safety, like dealing with, you know, quote unquote, unforeseen circumstances, like day after day after day. It's all the time, in a way that correct me if I'm wrong, people who are listening in other fields, but I feel like HR is tasked with taking things on with little preparation and high urgency, and things that are outside of our normal work scope or things that we are not qualified to do, more than just about any other field out there. Yeah. And the stakes feel so much higher too. Yeah. You know, because you're dealing with the people in their actual lives, you know? Yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of, I think that it's kind of hard, because I always talk about how I think that there's so much room for experimentation in HR, and that not everything needs to be so, you know, big and heavy and huge initiative. And that part of where we can kind of get stuck is just trying to do too much at once. Yeah. You know, so there's this saying where when you're trying to do something big, they'll compare it to like the question of how do you eat an elephant? Yeah. And the answer is usually one bite at a time. Yeah. Yeah. But HR just is like, no, we're taking the whole elephant all the time, always. Absolutely. And so everything becomes big. The luxury of experimentation in the same way that other fields might. Both, I mean, reasonably and unreasonably. I think there are some cases where you may not have to get it exactly right the first time, but like there's less wiggle room for error when you're dealing with people's pay, when you're dealing with people's benefits, when you're dealing with people's like livelihoods that you're responsible for. But there are lots of areas in HR where we should be given a little more latitude to experiment. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, always. The answer to your question of how often are people put in a position like this in HR is always. Yeah. Yeah. I think Daily. It's like, and it's funny because there are spaces in HR that
are not right for experimentation all the time, right? Things that do involve your livelihood and all of that. I know that I'm biased, but I always say that there's so much room for experimentation in anything that's involving learning programs, personalized learning, because just in and of itself, that's how you just kind of figure things out. And one of my sayings is that there's so much power in learning out loud and just sort of showing, hey, this is this new tool that I'm trying, or this is this new initiative that I'm trying, and bringing other people into that learning with you. And that's kind of then what makes you qualified to then do that thing bigger, because you do it a little bit at a time.
Right.
Yeah. So I have one final question for you. And it's sort of in a similar vein, but do you have any advice for any HR pros who are listening who might be in a similar situation as what Madison was in?
Yeah. I mean, make sure you have some friends that you can dial up for a lifeline. I think that's the biggest thing about this, is having people around you who can validate your experience, maybe give you some tactical support on the ground, like send you a template or give you a script, things like that. But like, before you get into this situation where, you know, hopefully your people listening aren't like, wow, that's actually happening to me today, right now, because this advice might be a little late. But find your people, build your community, find your lifeline, your personal advisory board, whatever you want to call it. So that when you are thrown experiences that you're not prepared for, that might be contentious, that might be, you know, have huge impacts on people, you have someone that you can call when you are the one and only person at your team, in your company, and maybe not even the one and only person, because like in Madison's case, like there was no HR, she just was thrust into that role. But I imagine, like, if Madison had an HR buddy that she could have called in that moment and be like, holy shit, this thing just happened, what do I do? She would have been a little better off, or at least felt a little more supported and felt less alone. Yeah,
I agree. I'm a big fan of community too. And I know we met through communities, so that's why it's always like, they are the lifeline.
People, even if it's just, I mean, it can be like someone whose content you like on LinkedIn and you just like start connecting with them on the internet. Like, I have a whole community of friends that I've never even met in person that are just people that I can go to for advice, that I trust, that I've known for years and years, in HR and also in like parenting. Find your people, find your people.
Yeah. Agreed. I love that. Yeah. And that concludes our episode of HR Confessions.
What a journey. What a ride. Yeah.
If you're listening to this and you have an equally twisted story to tell, or maybe not quite as twisted, but maybe a different version of it.
Any story.
We'd love to hear your stories. So you can submit your stories to us. You can email us at hrconfessions@skillcycle.com. We'll also have a link to a form where you can share your stories in an anonymized format as well. So if you like our twist on it, if you want to trust us with telling your story, please feel free to share it, because I love
share
reading
your story.
Them. Yes.
I love hearing them. It's so refreshing and it's so fun, I think, to look back at some of these stories that were like terrifying in the moment or awful to go through, or things where we're like, I can't believe I did that. Like, that was my fuck up. Like, and I think sharing these kinds of stories normalizes the experience, right? Yeah. It makes it a little easier to get through each day.
I think I so agree. Yeah, normalize it and validates. We're all dealing with all this crazy insanity. You are not alone. So let us all revel in it together so we can all kind of understand what HR does do all day, every day, and how we can better support each other. So thank you everybody for listening.
Inspires some like CEO out there to ask their HR leader, like, tell me a story about something really wild that happened to you in HR.
Ooh, I like that prompt.
Thanks for listening.
Well, thanks for listening, everyone, and join us for the next one. Bye.
Bye.